You know I hate Kepler. When we get started,
Let it out.
we got one that says, how do you feel when you forget your dose? Assuming you don't have a seizure, do you feel ripple effects for a few days after forgetting? How do you feel? How do you feel, and how long do you feel different? Uh, just curious because I definitely do feel the ripple effect. I don't feel normal for days. I am doing 2,000 milligrams of Keppra. I haven't taken Keppra, but does anybody feel the effects when they miss a dose? I
Not
think Kate,
one.
you're the
I
only
have
one on
I have to
Keppra.
miss 2 doses.
I try not to miss any doses, and especially because it's Keppra. I'm not taking it at all. We got these 2 bottles over here, and I'm just not taking that stuff. Uh, but yeah,
What? Wait, what? What? Wait, what? You're not taking your Capra?
no, I never started. I told the doctor I'm not taking it. She prescribed it and told I'm not taking that. I've heard too much bad stuff, and she was
Yeah.
like, "All right,
So you're not, but you're on lamotrigine, right?
yeah."
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah. I
She
mean,
says
I
they
feel
work.
it.
She said they
Yeah,
work better
Pookie, that's what they
together.
did to me. And
They do. They do, especially, yeah, they do. It
and it
might.
went bad.
I rarely miss doses, but I feel I don't get too worried because it's usually in the morning and it's built up in my bloodstream pretty good. So um, I had a big problem with uh clobazam Onfi because there's a huge shortage, and I was really terrified that I wasn't going to have it the next day. So what I did was I split it in half and I took half the dosage, and it instead of taking 20 milligrams, I took 10 milligrams, and that I definitely felt that the next day. You, that was, and to people out there, if you're listening, do not ever do that, especially with any drug or or a benzo, especially, and I
Oh
only
yeah.
did that. I only did that because I was afraid. I mean, there's a shortage of this drug right now in the country, and it's really difficult to get. And I thought that I wasn't going to have it the next day, but it did come in the next day, and it was really foolish of me. But I only did it out of fear, and yeah, I definitely felt um, the shortage of in my yeah. It was yeah, I felt that.
I want to go on top of what Kevin was saying about the benzos. I tried not to miss my dosage, but there was, um, especially last year, a time where my schedule was off and I couldn't take like the 24 hours from my last time I took my Clonopin, and you start to feel it. You start to feel it.
Yeah.
I don't want to act like I'm perfect, but I can't think of a time I've missed a dose. Um, I I have OCD, so I think that's probably why I'm super nervous and anal about making sure I take my pills. Um, but I have done several where you have to slowly increase the dose, and I am slowly decreasing a dose right now, and that sucks. Because, I mean, that's similar, it's changing the dose is basically like missing a dose, and it sucks. Yeah, they make you change on a Friday, they say, so you have the weekend to you know feel better, rather than the middle of the week when you're working, I guess.
Yeah,
But then
it
you just
sounds like
lose your
cop-out.
weekend, which sucks. Yeah, you just feel like shit and wind up having to nap the whole weekend. When I was doing my increase to lamotrigine, I think I wound up having to take time off of work because I just couldn't deal with having to keep, I just couldn't deal with it. And I wound up just needing some time. Um, so yeah, it's not fun.
I having been diagnosed when I was a kid, um, was not great about taking medications when I was young, at, multiple times a day. And I've had many seizures, back then where I would miss a dose and have a seizure. Like just one dose. And nowadays, yeah, it definitely can range from feeling just off, like a little, okay, I feel a little different today. Um, and if anything, that's, what, why, the reason why that I keep my pills in a weekly planner, or a pill case. Um, but yeah, recently, I mean, it took like a year, but I weaned myself off of Klonopin. Um, and each reduction for a period of weeks, it messed with my sleep. Um, and that was pretty hellish. Um, yeah.
Okay, I haven't. Like I said, I didn't really get a bad experience on Kepler because I didn't really pay attention to it as a teen. But I'm here reading something. Um, Anti-Kepler. I mean, wait, is that the right word? Anyhow, it says how to help dad with Kepler rage. I hope this is the correct place for this. Please let me know if it isn't. My dad, 67-year-old male, has been on Kepler, not for seizures, but something else. This guy's already been stubborn as it is, but Kepler has brought out a new side of him. He explodes and yells at my mom, and he has never been like this. It's impossible to reason or talk to him. And I know he would never recognize those symptoms, just at a loss on how to cope. Or is there any support for this? How do you cope with someone on having Kepler rage? Anybody?
I would assume you have to get them to see it first. Understand, I mean, I'm picturing like intervention looking staged family meeting type thing when it's like, listen, Dad, you can't ignore this anymore, and pick the right time. See if they can notice any trends on when it's happening, and pick a time when you're more likely to get through.
Yeah, my gut feeling was you have to go off of it and reanalyze your behavior and then go back on, to recognize it. But I would agree that you probably have to have multiple people in your family, kind of calmly call you out, saying like your reaction to these events is, unwarranted. Because I remember being on Kepra, it was very difficult to. I typically overreacted to what seemed like very valid reasons, like, oh, my mom's being a jerk to me or something like that. And it was more just the overreaction, but I was hung up on it was a valid reason to be upset. Um, and I would just fight with my mom about it. So it was very challenging her coming at me and then we would just fight and it was this kind of never-ending cycle seemingly.
We got something else here. It says Kepra. So a government website stated that caffeine intentionally interferes with anti-compulsion after the Kepra, the long generic name, and also says that it stops the coordination issues with the drug and stops the possible memory loss of the drug, although you may be had a greater risk of having a seizure if you're having those issues. Drink coffee. That's what tests show. Have a great day, everybody. That is bad advice. And it's all over the place. The words are just jumbled and don't really make a lot of sense.
Is that a troll? That does not make sense here. Kind of like the guy that came in about the on the other epilepsy group, something about pre-workout, full of creatine and caffeine, and I'm talking this guy down. I'm like, dude, you're in the wrong place. We can't use that stuff here. Okay, get real. So I'm wondering if that's kind of a trolley rolly kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sounds like that person's drinking too much coffee.
Go figure.
Right.
One of these other posts is talking about unnoticed seizures, and I wonder how common this is. That somebody's saying, I've always struggled with migraines. I usually wake up having a migraine. And if some of you know, that can really mess you up. Sometimes the symptoms that I get with a migraine and before having a seizure are the same for me. For example, you're sensitive to light, noises, and you feel like someone is pounding on your head. But with those migraines, I would also have moments where I would lose consciousness, where I would even say crazy things that were not normal. Felt like vomiting, I would get hot flashes, dizzy, wouldn't remember anything. The doctor would always say these were normal for people who suffered migraines. Note that I wasn't diagnosed with migraines until 13 years old because the doctor would always brush off my symptoms and say it was a normal headache. Suffered through all that since I've been little. I'm 28 now. When I was 21, I had my first grand mal seizure. Never had a seizure during the day, only get them when I'm sleeping. Don't realize I had one until I wake up and my tongue is all hurt. I haven't been able to completely find a trigger for the seizures, but I have noticed that I get them when I have my period, lack of sleep, dehydration, and stress, things that would also trigger a migraine. Now that I've lived with seizures for almost 10 years, I've noticed there's a bunch of similarities between me having a seizure and a migraine. There's been times where I've been to the hospital because of a seizure. After having a seizure, I get the same symptoms that I would get when I was having a migraine. One time went to the ER because I hurt myself during a seizure. This time in particular, the doctor at the ER witnessed me having a spatial seizure and explained to me that it's normal to go through that when you have seizures, that you don't have to move to have a seizure. I've told my mother that I have always felt like that when having a migraine, but that I had learned to live with it. And it doesn't make me different than anyone else. Sometimes my mother tries to tell me I don't have the same capabilities as others because of what I go through with the seizures. She doesn't believe that I have always struggled with those symptoms and that I'm just trying to make her feel guilty for not noticing them. So this person's question is it possible that all of these lifelong migraines have actually been seizures and that the lack of treatment for the partial seizures did evolve to them getting worse, to the grand mals, because they never took medication or and they're just asking, has anybody else ever been through this? So I think we can all agree that's probably exactly what happened, and this person is now figuring this out.
Yeah, I could actually put some stuff in there for that one because I have been dealing with migraines for years longer than before I was diagnosed with TCs. And my neurologist told me that, oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, sweet. Sorry, I was getting a call, but my neurologist told me that he suspects that I've been having focal seizures since I was a child, based on the symptoms that I've had throughout my life. And then the surgery push me from focal to bilateral. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the way that he explained it. That's how I remember him explaining it. But my migraines were always very intense, and I'm not the only one in my family who gets them. My sister, she has also been dealing with this since she was 15, and the migraines that she gets are on the left side of her head. And they have led to her losing complete vision on the left side of her head, just completely black. She can't speak. She slurs her words, struggles to walk. She falls over, collapses. She can't drive when she has them. But unlike me, she has not been able to find anybody to take her seriously because mine turned into tonic-clonics, which led to me getting, diagnosed, but hers have been, just this. And she was put on all these different types of migraine medications, but none of them ever did anything. So the best thing that she does, 'cause she has two kids as well, is drinking lots of coffee, taking CBD oil, and sleeping. And that's about all that she's ever been able to get to help with the migraines.
I had no ideas that migraines could be so harsh and could actually have long-lasting effects like that. I thought it was always, a couple hours. So her
Yeah,
vision is actually gone. It's not temporary.
yeah, no, it's gone. And it'll last for like a couple to 3 days, and it'll come back, but she has blurry vision in that eye, so
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned this in one of my recent posts. I had migraines that started in high school and were terrible and just started getting worse. I remember that they got worse into college to the point I have a very vivid memory of one in college where I had to walk from my dorm to um a I don't know if it was a CVS or I just remember walking from my dorm somewhere to get medication and being in so much pain. Um and hearing the cars driving by and being in so much pain. And that one went on for about a week, I think. So yeah, they got so much worse from like ones that were about 2 hours maybe in high school to that one that I remember in college that went on for about a week. Those were my migraines, and yeah, those went on until I had my first grand mal when I was about 32, I think. Yeah.
I see one that says they should let us drink during hospital visits. It sounds
And
dumb.
had
But
her hand raised.
oh, go ahead, Ann.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say about the migraines and the misdiagnosis. And yes, you're absolutely right. They told me the same thing that, this can just become progressive until we stop the progress. And, and that's the thing with focal epilepsy. And it's another, migraine is another common misdiagnosis because it kind of evolves. Our epilepsy is a progressive epilepsy. So those little migraines that we had when we were in, grade school, that put us down for a weekend or, whatever, they meant nothing to us then. But when you go back and you look at all of your medical records, you find out that it's like, oh no, that was associated with epilepsy. Having a researcher at Johns Hopkins do that was the best thing, but I can't get the information because it's copyrighted. But it told me so much about my epilepsy. And, they asked me questions like, did you have a history of, nausea, headaches, problems concentrating when you were a child, this, that, and, that it's That's the kind of epilepsy we have. And there's, it's just one of the misdiagnoses. And, it's so sad because we end up really suffering damage, and it's not always the fault of the doctors. Sometimes it is. And they made it far too obvious in my case, and they picked the wrong one to do it to. So, these are the things that we really have to pay attention to in the medical community and say, wait a minute, but they're not doing that anymore. And we have to do our own research, and we've got we've got each other. So, but yeah, that migraine issue, this could be something you might want to ask for is if they could check for any genetic markers, because this may be a genetic form of epilepsy. So, and if it is, I know what you're feeling right now, but think about this. For your 2 kids right now, if you can start treating that epilepsy now, they may never notice they ever had it.
That's a very
If
good
it's a
point.
genetic form. Yeah. So,
And that's a fascinating thing, the connection between migraines and focal seizures, because I've never understood focal seizures. I don't actually know if I've ever had them, but I also know that I've never had migraines in my life. I think I'm one of the few of you that have never had migraines or even headaches. I've never had headaches even before. See, the only time I get migraines is after a focal seizure. No, after a tonic-clonic. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. Um, so what was my point? Yeah, I don't understand these focal seizures, and just one second. Wrapping this up.
yeah,
Yeah, just yeah, I'll think of it later. Just proceed.
okay.
Does it have
Um,
to do with like no triggers? Because that's kind of what came to mind for me when epilepsy was a total surprise for me, since we didn't have like the genetic fallback or any cause, any evident cause, and I didn't know where to start with the triggers except for it happened around a certain time of the month, and obviously it took me 6 months to figure that out. So I don't know how long I was denying it, in high school just to keep my driver's license. But yeah, it seems like all forms of epilepsy could probably be progressive.
Yeah. So you felt something was up. You're kind of, yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I felt like something was always up with me as a child because I had a lot of episodes of blackouts, and they always attributed it to anxiety attacks, panic attacks, but like I never actually knew what a panic attack was like until my husband, when we first started dating about 5 years ago, he told me about a panic attack he had when he was younger, and I was like, what? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I always thought that didn't make any sense for me. And so like looking back on stuff that happened to me as a child has been kind of crazy to like actually do with my neurologist because a lot of it really didn't make sense with the actual diagnoses that they put me under when I was younger. Only to, grow up into an adult and realize that none of those diagnoses were actually there.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if
a
that made
shame
any
because who
sense.
knows if it couldn't have been controlled better. And like now that I feel that all epilepsy is progressive, if I would have admitted it sooner, maybe it would have been better controlled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
periods for me are pretty heavily they're like my biggest main trigger for me as well, but we haven't actually gotten to the point of talking about catamenial. Um, but I mean, I've been having shitty periods since I was 13, so it makes sense with the time frame of my brain slowly declining in its condition. and my periods getting worse and worse as I aged.
Yeah, so the more notes you take, the better of,
Absolutely.
how long your memory is gone before and after, if that's a thing surrounding your seizures, or I think things my family says, like, I'll start humming, but then if I start doing the lip smacking, then they know it's gonna, get worse. It's not gonna be a quick one. And it seems like everybody just has their own personal thing. If I go all the way to like snapping or doing some kind of finger motion, then everybody's telling, getting me to sit down. But I
Yeah.
just, again, don't remember any of that.
Yeah, I did the 30-second exhale. And when my daughter was telling me, she's like, Mom, seriously, you literally pushed all the air out of your lungs. And I'm like, no, I didn't. The seizure did. I didn't do that. And this is her first time for her to see me go from like a complex, maybe I'm a little more aware during the complex over to a tonic-clonic. She literally caught it just in time. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember getting on the floor. I don't remember that. Why am I tasting this stuff? And my daughter comes running in the room and she's like, Mom, oh, then the story, So it's like, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so other topics here. I mean, it's stuff that I know maybe we have mentioned before, but I mean, as far as this being an invisible disease, has anybody kind of still found a way to, find the job that would work, or kind of move past it? My dream is to be able to find a job that I don't have to tell the coworkers and I can still manage, basically like a part-time work from home thing.
That'd be nice.
They've been amazing to me at my job. I mean, I guess I'm lucky because I was already there for like 5 years, I think, before I developed epilepsy. So they already knew me, they liked me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being ridiculous, but I'm starting to get nervous that I'm gonna get fired. I've had to take several breaks. I'm forgetting the word, which that's that's evidence that I the
Medical
epilepsy is
leave.
medical leave. So I had to take medical leave because I was changing meds. And then I had to take medical leave because I had to get the surgery, and then the surgery went terribly, terribly wrong, and the medical leave turned into a whole thing. And I'm told they were incredibly kind while I was in the hospital, and they cared a lot and wanted to know how I was doing. But I finally got back, and it feels like they just don't trust me anymore. It feels like they don't think that my brain is the same. And so I just, they're still very kind. I still have a job, but I don't feel like I have coworkers who see me the same way. And that's rough. So I don't know. I I I don't know what to say. I I don't know how you get a job where people really see you as a full person who knows what they're doing and doesn't have issues. I guess part of it is that I'm working part-time and I have a million doctor's appointments. But I just worry that this is the beginning of the end.
I mean,
Well, I mean, maybe it's just for that job, though. All right, go ahead, Nate.
I was gonna say, like, it is possible. My last job was very good. Worked for a software company, um, for like 6 years. And 1 month on the job, I had a tonic-clonic in the office. And I was worried naturally that that would screw things up. But it didn't. Um, and I progressed to be like quite successful and was promoted like 5 times when I was there. So, um, yeah, I mean, it all good things come to an end. My last year there, um, took a lot of FMLA time off to get an SEEG, and then the DBS implants. And there were multiple rounds of layoffs, of which I got swooped up in. So, just been having difficulty getting work past that. I was freelancing for a while. Some folks that used to work at that company started their own company and they like immediately hit me up to work for them. So I was freelancing for them, um, just part-time, and that was going well. And I had a seizure and missed a client meeting one day, and the owner messaged me saying like, "Hey, concerned about you being reliable. Like why did this happen?" And I don't know why, but like I was just kind of over the whole hiding everything, so I just straight up told him like I have epilepsy, like I had a seizure yesterday, like this is not a normal occurrence. It's not an issue of me being unreliable. Um, and some people are pieces of shit, and he just stopped giving me new projects to work on, and asked me to offboard my work to somebody else, and then no more freelancing. So, yeah. But I had a good run at a company and like a solid career, I would say.
I mean, for them letting you go, is that another situation kind of like Sia described, where it was like a small company and ADA just doesn't apply for a place with less than, 15 or 20 employees,
No,
or
it
like
was a
voluntary
larger
resignation?
company, like a
Oh, okay.
couple thousand. Um, I think more just it had been a couple months since I had returned, and they had already been doing a bunch of layoffs with hundreds of people.
Oh, so they got away with
Um,
just grouping you in with the layoffs,
yeah.
right? So is anybody else happy to be able to have continued an activity or exercise or something that like you thought might never come back after maybe that initial battle of trying new meds and first being diagnosed? I'm still happy I can walk the dog around the block. I mean, at this point,
You're not supposed to
family
do that
wants to
alone.
FaceTime. But that's why I'm saying, like, I've done it in the meeting before, and sometimes, if I'm having a rough week, family will want to FaceTime me, and I'm not allowed to go more than like so many blocks, but I am glad I'm still able to do that. And what I'm seeing is obviously like anybody who is into scuba diving and skiing and anything extreme like that probably kind of lost out. But I mean, maybe biking. I mean, I don't know if riding a horse would be safe ever, but I
Yeah,
guess if you have the right horse.
I love
nothing
the beach.
extreme, but I've been going like I'll walk to, depending on the weather, I'll walk to the pharmacy, which is like a while away. Yesterday I had to Uber it, but because it was raining. But um I'll go out with my friends and do stuff, and I'll let my family know, and my friends already know like how to handle the seizures and stuff. So like they're my inner circle. You know, it's more than what it was when I was actually living with my wife, because that was like more secluded, like I'm farther away from them.
Yeah, when you said raining, first thing that came to mind is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Isn't that a show?
Yeah, it's a show. It's a funny show.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind. I'm sorry, it was just totally off topic.
That's the best parts. We've got to lighten the mood somehow.
It's Always Sunny in California.
There
Hot.
you go.
Too bad I'm on here. I was ready to take my shirt off quite a few times. But yeah.
You
Yeah,
didn't
we
know you did?
saw that. We saw that. I was getting a little worried there, man. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
no. Those
he's
times I
doing
was
this?
wiping tears. I wasn't taking the shirt off.
Okay.
Now I'm ready to take it off. At that point, I was just trying to, instead of turning my camera off, I was like, let me do this real quick instead of going back and forth and turn camera off, camera on. Get these tears out the way. Some of that stuff was hard to listen to, especially watching people cry. I was trying to look away. I was trying to walk away. Nothing helps.
And it's
Yeah.
crazy how
I'm just
you
turning my
can't
camera off
remember.
when
Yeah, who's being real now, Pookie? Yeah, shit's getting real.
Really.
And I am so glad Saya came in. I was so worried about her. Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, the angels are here. You know, this woman is going through such a hard, this is dangerous. I think you guys understand when I say she is at the midst of a medical emergency that could literally take her life.
Well, at this
Very quick.
point, it's not just her, but it was Destiny too. I don't know if you were
Yeah.
here at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, Destiny. Okay, now I see it in that chat, and same deal. You know, she already has not only the epilepsy starting, but the comorbidities already. So these
And the
medication interactions are just so scary and, I mean, intimidating to say the least. Like I said, I don't remember anything from like long term or when my seizure started, but when people start telling the story, their story, the similarities really do strike a chord, and I find myself connecting a lot more to what I didn't think I remembered anymore. But like especially about the work, we were chatting about like when Pookie, what was that question you asked about like the funniest stories or something? And that's when I was like wandering around the parking lot with my shirt off. I
Oh
would have
yeah.
never remembered that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
when I took my shirt off at a concert, all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, that was a fun post, man.
Yeah, I started peeing as soon as I walked out of Target. I just walked out the door, turned to the right, and started peeing. But the cops were already there because I had a seizure in the store. So they were like, "Why isn't he like stopping?" He's still just, I was still in a seizure, and they didn't understand. And my uncle was like, "He's still having a seizure. Just hold on." And I swear, if I would have just turned around, I would have just been facing the door, pissing on the door. But I turned to a bush. First thing I seen was a bush on the right hand side, and luckily I did not pee on the door. But I did drop my pants to my ankles, so that was another thing. Being funny, being told. He was like, "Man, your pants were at your ankles. You were just all nonchalant about it." So yeah, naked situations. Anybody ever had a seizure naked besides Kate and Ann? I mean, take your clothes off during a seizure.
I think I was already naked in
I
the
wrote
bathroom,
on.
and my
Oh,
my mom and brother heard the crash of me falling and splitting my head open, and came into the bathroom to find like a large pool of blood around my
yeah.
head, and also me butt naked, but also something going on with my genitals being not soft. um so that was kind of embarrassing, but not as bad as it being like in public.
Yeah, I
Oh,
had multiple seizures in the showers, and I'm like, some of them I don't even remember because me and my mom were talking about it. I was like, what? I don't remember my brother getting me out of a tub.
I've been I think I would say that's naked. I had to get picked up from in between the wall and the toilet. And yeah, so being that I was on the toilet, that I don't know how that went for them. I never asked anybody did they wipe, but the day went on.
The bathroom is a favorite seizure spot for me, apparently. It's always when I'm sitting on the toilet getting dressed after a shower, though. Luckily, it's not when I'm on the toilet going to the bathroom or anything. But I'm not allowed to close the bathroom door anymore.
That's a good thing.
I don't even want to close the bathroom door, like lock it. I'll close it. I won't lock it.
Ours doesn't lock. It just isn't able to lock because Boston has great apartment buildings.
Yeah. Another situation waking up naked would be like, I mean, seizure during sex. That's another waking up naked, I'd assume. Woke up with the paramedics there. Of course, I wasn't able to get dressed, or no one was able to dress me, but shit happens.
And those are the ones that you don't want to journal. Like you don't want to write about the most embarrassing times, but looking back now, I should have seen that as a red flag that when it happened like that, he acted like it was my fault. Like he literally like he didn't finish and it was my fault and he was having, the just kind of an attitude for the rest of the night. And if I hadn't taken that note and been able to read back now, like I might actually have sympathy in this divorce, but now I don't.
I'm sorry, I have
No,
to laugh.
Like,
that
Holy shit.
sucks.
yeah, that's
We
the
had
stupidest thing
a
I've ever
thread
heard.
about this, but literal shit happens sometimes. That's a fun one when you wake up and you pooped your pants.
That hasn't happened so far, so I'm happy about that.
Happened to me a couple times. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, waking up when the nurses or whatever, the techs are like, wow, you made a mess. And I'm like, I have no idea where I am.
Thanks. Thanks. Kate, anything? Did I go into something?
Oh, hey, I put up a post in the other epilepsy Reddit about being combative during, phases of your seizures.
Well,
Because
yeah.
you guys know my story. And it took a little while for people to start coming out and saying, wow, I didn't, I didn't think about that. And this one guy and I were chatting. It's like, yeah, we've both been cuffed to the bed. And I'm talking spread eagle cuffed. And it's like, are you kidding me? Number one medical alert for seizures is do not restrain the patient. And I'm like, oh, this is too much. These are too many stories, But yeah, the combative, man, I will beat the
I think when I was a teen, my dad, it was like when my seizures were first starting, and he would say I hit him so hard, like he would have these bruises, and I'm like, what? I didn't hit you. And I would feel so bad because like this is my dad, and like my dad was my best friend and everything,
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
hospital, I never got cuffed to the bed, but they had these special bars on the side that had like an alarm. And if you tried to move the bars, the alarm would go off.
Oh yeah.
That's what I had for being epileptic. And there was like a special, they were like all congratulatory my last day there. They were like, oh, we turned off the alarm. You're allowed to, you can get up because we know that you'll be okay. But I was still connected to some kind of machine, some kind of I think I was still getting the gosh, words. I think I
The
was still,
IV.
no, yeah, but it wasn't, I think I was still getting some sort of food. There's a better word for that, but I was still getting some sort of
I think they call it nourishment, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah, ringers.
something
Or
like that.
ringers lactate.
I
Yeah.
wound up still having it by the time they sent me home. Like my wife had to give it to me before I went to bed at night. It was terrible.
Mm.
But yeah, I was still hooked up to that. So even though they took the alarms off the things on the side of the bed, I still had to call someone to let me get up to go to the bathroom because I was hooked up to
Yeah.
the thing. So it didn't even matter. But yeah, so I wasn't hooked up to anything, but I couldn't get out of bed still.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't mind. I don't mind those times. It's when I'm like chained down, and I know immediately when I figure it out that I can't move anything because I am attached to this bed. And then I know it's like, oh, great, I had a seizure. And then I get this doctor coming in talking about all this psychiatric stuff. Oh, we're going to change your medication. Are you? Yeah, you know? And I'm like, you're lucky I'm restrained here, bro. But they're not supposed to do that to people with epilepsy, not with mechanical restraints. Like they'll get 4, 6 people holding you down so you don't hurt yourself, but they're not supposed to use any mechanical restraint, because what happened to my shoulder, still having a
Exactly.
problem, and it's like, oh, reckoning day is coming soon. I cannot wait.
You don't want to feel what you call it. And I remember waking up with that dislocated shoulder, and I went to the bathroom, and I'm like, something looks odd there. And it took me a moment to realize it was dislocated.
Yeah, it
And then
doesn't.
I'm just like trying to walk out and tell my mom I gotta go to the hospital because look,
Yeah, it
like
doesn't hurt until they put it back in. It
I
does
have
not
a
hurt till they
total shoulder replacement
yeah,
because
they
it
had to give me
happens so often.
morphine for it.
Yeah, that's next. Mm-hmm.
So Nate, you had to have your shoulder actually replaced because it was broken so bad?
Yeah, I had 2 or 3 reconstructions prior to that, but it just kept coming out every time I would have a seizure, and then the joint was so loose that it would just slip out in between seizures like frequently. And I could just put it back in. And yeah, it just sucked. So they told me essentially like my shoulder joint was so arthritic, it looked like a 90-year-old man's. And I had to wait years before an orthopedic surgeon would actually do the operation because I had to be 1 year seizure free. Because there was concern that like, oh, you need to the ligaments and the muscles need to repair enough. And if you have a seizure post-op, then it'll mess it up. And I finally at NYU got their head of orthopedics to agree to do the operation when I was like 6, 7 months seizure free. and it's been amazing. I haven't thought about my shoulder since.
When you
Cool.
guys
Glad
went
it
to the
healed.
topic of waking up in cuffs, I have a story I've told before. I guess I said that I was gonna jump off the second story balcony. So I woke up in cuffs and I was sitting in a room and everyone was sitting there in these little benches and everyone had cuffs on both hands and were cuffed to the seats. And it was crazy. It was crazy. And I sat there for hours just wondering like who's gonna come get us? Who's gonna come talk to us? Why am I just sitting here? And yeah, I was restrained. That sucked.
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Anybody else get that
Remember?
high pitch sound? There's a post here about somebody apparently lives in Korea and they have a distinct ringtone, I guess, for landlines, and they're saying that they hate it because after a seizure, that phone ringing like splits their head open. Does anybody else have like tinnitus or just like really
No.
annoying hearing or hurting after a seizure?
I get, but it's with the wind sometimes. Like I'll be walking with my mom, and the way the wind comes to my ear, and it just like it bothers me so much, and I'm like, this never used to happen before. It's kind of like if you drive on the highway and the window is only like cracked open. I don't know if anybody experienced that, but it was kind of like that. But instead, it was like me and her were just walking, so it was no. It was just like I'm like, uh,
This is another one of my things that isn't relevant to you guys, but sharing it just because I think it's interesting. Since my bad surgery and I went deaf in one ear, I learned that if you're deaf in an ear, you do actually hear something because your ear like wants to hear something, so it like gives you a replacement noise. So you have it's almost like tinnitus or something. You just hear like this weird little roaring like thing to kind of like replace sound. It's very annoying. Anyway, fun facts.
Does anybody get the ringing?
Yeah.
I had that yesterday. It wasn't really a
yeah,
seizure that I could tell, but it was just kind of, I just kept going like this, like why? And no big reason for it. It was just ringing.
I think that might just be from the medicine.
That's what I was thinking. Just a side effect that just happens, just ringing out of nowhere.
My problem
I get
is
that.
wind
It's
chimes,
pretty constant in
high
my left ear.
pitched wind chimes. Well, if I've had a seizure or I'm going to, they'll be really, really, really like kind of irritating. But
You know, people talk to me and I can't hear my left ear. It's actually a distraction. I have to like cover up my left ear almost. Yeah.
yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm like, hold on, I can hear you better with my right.
Yeah.
of course,
I'm
for
glad that's not permanent. I have trouble telling a lot of times if nobody's around if I've even had one. I really just kind of have to go by my memory or if there's any obvious signs of like, detergent in the fridge or printer ink on the dresser in the sock drawer or something.
or like you tried to cook rice with no water.
There you go.
It was like the other day, like yeah, Tuesday, last time we came on. I was just like, I don't know if I had a seizure, but like I told you guys, I went to the ER and they said all I had was the headache, and they were just like, "You sure you had a seizure?" I was like, "Well, thank you guys for the CT and MRI and all that," but they said I didn't have a seizure. They were like, "No signs of it. Your mouth isn't chewed up." I just had that bad headache for like a full 24 hours, and yeah, Hate it.
Yeah, sometimes it takes me a couple of hours to like realize that I've had a seizure. Because as I explained earlier, my experience as of late has been more like kind of waking up. Um, and my immediate response is like, no, I didn't have a seizure, and I try to like walk back like why I didn't have a seizure. And just complete wishful thinking. Um, and and then I'll notice the headache, and I'm like, I just have a headache, and I'm just tired, and um, oh shit, I feel that on the right side of my tongue. And then after like a little while, like this happened like a week or two or so ago, then I'm like, okay, I have an unexplained rug burn on my ankle. Um, I had a seizure. Like, yeah, and as I gain clarity, I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, it happened. But just that couple of hours of not knowing and just not doing anything but wrestling with my own consciousness is uh really weird.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a constant struggle. Like, I talk to my wife and I'm like, okay, I don't have any bite marks. I can walk fine, I don't have any of the signs, but I feel weird. So I don't know. But the first grand mal that I had that my old roommates saw, I woke up and I felt completely normal and I had none of the signs. And so I know that I can have a seizure with no evidence. So anytime that I feel weird, I'm like, that's a pretty good sign because I can have a seizure and not feel anything. So I don't know. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I
That
tried to
sounds
tell myself that I didn't have a seizure, so I'm still on my seizure streak. I haven't had one.
Mm.
That headache was just a headache. I'm just gonna take it as that. The doctor said there were no signs. They did an MRI, CT scan, and whatever else there was. But yeah,
Come on, you gonna try to accept the doctor's opinion instead of you knowing your body best?
Right, right. How many times have they said to me, how do you know you had a seizure? I'm like, because I'm here in the emergency room. I don't know how I got here, and you're asking me how I know. I didn't even know. Okay. What's your name? Who are you? And then they're like, oh, she's combative, she has a bad attitude. No, she's still having a seizure. And oh, here comes another one. Oh, right. So it's like, don't ask me how I know. I'm going to tell you how I know. It's
even
so
looking.
frustrating. Yeah. Hi, Jeff. Hey.
Hi,
Hey Jeff, welcome back. Yeah,
thank
even
you.
looking for new like neurologists, like, are you epileptic? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've been epileptic since I was 14. Like, here's the paperwork.
here's the paperwork.
What did you take? Are you sure?
Come
Yeah,
on.
right.
Let's
Yeah,
not
keep
go
an eye
down
out
that
on
road.
that.
I
What'd you take
know.
today? Did you take
What
any
it-
medicines that'll make you OD or this and that? Have you
And it's
smoked
like,
today? They find anything.
Do you have any
Anything.
sharp objects on you?
Not all the low
I
key
wouldn't even
like
know if I had a sharp object. I don't even know what
did
clothes
you
I'd be
miss a
wearing.
dose?
Right?
Nothing.
Like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I reversed time like 4 years one time and gave them the most ridiculous answer. And yeah.
Right.
And
We do it.
I
I've given
think I
the wrong
reversed time like
address.
20 years one time and told them I was like in the wrong state. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in Buffalo and I gave an address that I had in Pennsylvania. And it had been almost 20 years later. So yeah. Yeah, I have no idea where that came from. What address did I give? Who gave you that? You did. No, I didn't. I don't remember. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Those moments. How do you know you had a seizure? I just
Mhm.
showed you.
She must be on drugs and or drug seeking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate, I kick you in the butt from here. I know, right? It's like, you better move. If they have me sitting on the edge of a bed or in one of those chairs, I can't tell you how many times it's in my records that I have threatened them by saying, you better move. It is in there like 500 times. I'm like, wait, what? I have a feeling that might be something I say just before I'm having a seizure. You better move, because I know what's going to happen to you if you don't, and I can't control it. But yeah, and then back up to psych. Oh, she coded. What do you mean she's coding in solitary? Yeah, those fun times. But yeah, the drugs. What drugs are we on? How many of you have just said you would just list your AEDs, your daily meds, when they ask you that question in the emergency room?
I think I have before.
Yeah, if I remembered them correctly.
Exactly. I might have
I'm
Yeah.
like,
maybe said the
I'm
ones I
trying
was
to
on
remember everything,
last
and
year.
you're trying to.
I know, right?
I'm
Right?
trying to remember my own name.
I had to write it all down just to tell y'all.
Oh my God. I told them once, because I was in the emergency room and I had to have my medication, and you can't self-medicate in the emergency room in New York State. It's literally a felony, okay?
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 9:30. I need my Vimpat. We don't even know what that is. Glucosamide. And the nurse comes back, we don't have your medication. I'm like, oh, well, that's your problem now. And what was it, 2 hours later? They didn't have a pulse. So yeah,
They are
don't tell
so
me you don't
bad
know.
I would
in the
just
hospital. One
tell
time
them it's a breath
they
mint and take it.
In
that's a
my
good idea.
23-hour stay, they're like, don't
They
worry, we got all the medicine. And they didn't have the Briviact. And I'm like, luckily, like, my wife had left, like, all my medicine in a bag or something. I don't know.
Right?
I can't remember. And I was like,
y'all are
there,
so good at
I need
remembering
that.
medication names. I think this one is zonisamide, but it gives me it makes me unable to walk well if I don't drink a ton of water with it or take it at a particular time before meals. And they didn't give it to me at the right time. And I told them this, and they didn't care. They gave it to me with like a tiny sip of water to take it down. I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I fell. I and they come in and they're like, "What did you do? What did you take?" And I'm like, "This is your fault. You're lucky I didn't hurt myself." Like, they're ridiculous. They're bad at their jobs.
The whole only medication I've ever had a problem getting a hold of is one of those extended release ones. It was Carbatrol. And I think when one of the ER visits, they gave me the generic, and I definitely had a lot worse ones after that. I think because of the timing, and it does make a difference between the generic and the brand name.
Yeah, I'm like that with Vimpat. They have it's DAW, dispense as written, because I tried the we didn't have a choice here in New York. I think it was 2021. We had to go to the generic. And it took about 2.5 months. And my daughter noticed there was something wrong. And I talked to my doctor, and they're like, well, it's the same drug. And another month or so went by. Let's see, it was like March. Yeah, it was almost October. And we were in the kitchen just doing our weekly meal prep, and I'm pretty safe doing things I shouldn't do, but I put everything down that was in my hands. Like all of a sudden, like I just dropped the mic and just stood there like, And she's like, I have no idea what just happened. Well, you told me you watched all those videos I sent you, but hey, I think I just had a seizure. Well, you're taking your medication. Yeah, but it's not right. And I had that happen with Vimpat within a few months. So I had to go all the way to the state for that one to get the dispensed as written, because there's like a $1,000 price difference for us if we had to pay for it, which is kind
Yeah.
of bullshit, but no, I can't take the generic.
That sucks. The not generic is really expensive.
Is there
Oh.
going to be? Oh, I mean, do we have? I mean, you just made me think of something. I mean, is anybody worried about the future of the immediate future of drugs in this country? I mean,
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
We're
was
Yeah.
bad enough when I got the disability insurance. I thought I was covered, but that's when, lo and behold, I found out I had no choice but the generics and
I
just had to
have
get used
great
to it.
insurance currently, but something went wrong. I guess it's a different quarter or something. And one of my medications that usually costs $10, they're telling me is going to cost $1,000. And so I have to like call the company and find out what's going on. And we're hoping that if this is true, it's only a one-time thing, but I don't know. I'm very concerned about the future of things in this country, and like I said, I'm worried about my job, and I'm
Yeah, I
worried,
remember
worried.
when I first got put on Briviact, and then like a few. I don't remember what came after that, but it was like everything was a $10 copay prior to that, and then Briviact came. Oh, you got to pay $50 for this one,
Ooh.
and then the next medication, it's like, oh yeah, $50 copay, and I'm like, what? Why are these getting more expensive? And yeah, I'm concerned even more now.
Yeah.
I
If
was
you
gonna,
go to their websites, you can check. They usually have programs to help. And I don't remember, was it Rachel? Somebody just did this, and it dropped the price of their medication like $40.
Yeah, I forgot
So
who that
yeah,
was. Someone did say
I'm
that.
not sure, but Anne, I did want to tell you, since you were thinking about Dilantin, that one of the things that I really like about it is that it's about 150 years old, and so every possible side effect has been studied, and it's a really well-known medication. So
yeah, that's why I'm like, wait, I never
because
took that.
a lot of
Yeah.
the new ones I had such reactions to. So I don't know. I'm just,
Right.
I thought I should, because I meant to tell you that before I went to run upstairs and feed my children.
Yeah, I've got to take off soon too, but that is exactly why. It's like the tried, true, and trusted
That's,
cannabis and Dilantin. And I'm like, wait a minute, I never did take Dilantin.
yeah.
So
It's,
I have to dig a little deeper, but I never took it. And there's a few other, I don't think I took any of the like Tegretol, and what's the other one? Yeah. I don't think I've ever taken Tegretol.
Was
So I might,
carbatrols and carbamazepines.
yeah.
They're all
So
part of the same family, carbamazepines.
and oxcarbazepine, is that the same kind of stuff? Or,
yeah, I
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
think
that's
so.
another one. They go from like tablet to capsule, or they just find a way to make it cost
yeah,
more if they color it, if they turn it blue instead of like yellow.
Okay, come on
yeah.
now. But yeah,
I started.
but I have
Well,
had the Dilantin in two different colors, and it worked, as far as I could tell, about the same.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I've,
The only difference I ever found in a drug like that similar was I was taking, and I still take tizanidine, and the difference between the capsules and the tablets is definitely considerable. And doctors won't tell you that, but pharmacists will. Well, maybe not a pharmacist, a PharmD will tell you that. And I remember when I switched from tablet to capsule, we were able to reduce my dose. So,
Well,
yeah.
I've only had capsules. I don't even know if they have. I assume they have Dilantin in tablets, but I've never had it. So
Yeah, well, I haven't, if
it's
I
ex-
haven't tried it,
I
yeah.
think what I have is extended release because of the nocturnal seizures and the SUDEP. Just stopping breathing in the middle of the night. So
Yeah, that's
they
what I'm doing. Yeah.
pumped the Dilantin way up and then added some other stuff to it to try to support it. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I just thought I should let you know.
Yeah, I'm
Because
glad.
that's one of
and
the
that-
things that my husband really likes about it is that it's old and
It's been around, yeah.
tested. It's been around and it doesn't have any
long-term use side
weird
effects,
side
all of that.
effects.
Right.
That's what
It
And
he's
looks
that's
like
always
the
another-
generic name for Dilantin is nothing like it. It's pheneton.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
pronounced.
Phenytoin, yeah.
phenytoin sodium or something. Really
Okay,
like
there
that.
you go.
And
Yeah,
that's what I
phenytoin.
get. Yeah, phenytoin. Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Phenytoin, yeah. It's a consideration, getting all this together, and it's like innate, really. I mean, I really did brush off the whole idea of a VNS for a good reason, and I'm glad I did that now. Because we do have a lot more available, but yeah, I'm just gonna play with. I'll experiment with drugs for a little longer, but the problem is, being seizure free for a year. That hasn't happened for over 15 years. So, yeah,
And when it comes to having the VNS, my doctor would treat it almost like a medication, as if it's like just a onboard adjunct, and increase it. Um, say if I had a breakthrough seizure, increase it instead of increasing one of the medications I was taking.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
game for that. Yeah,
yeah, and so that was very attractive to me. And ultimately, hopefully you're not in a situation where my doctor calls me like the bionic man, because I have an implant in my left chest and my right chest. And pretty soon when I have to get them in the next few years replaced, they'll be remotely like rechargeable. So I'll just have like recharge pads on my chest every couple of weeks.
that's pretty
Anyways,
cool.
I'll truly
Yeah,
be like a robot, but
that's pretty cool. Well, my concern, and this is a question for my doctor, is I have a cervical fusion. I have, they call it an open cage technique that they use to fuse the vertebrae in my neck. So I don't know if I can even have a VNS. It is titanium, so it's non-conductive, but I don't know.
yeah, that's a valid question to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, so at least I'm thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
How long have you had yours, Nate?
11 years.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've done the battery replacement many times.
I actually, this would be the first battery replacement.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, every time I go, it just says 25 to 50% battery left, and my doctors are like, what the hell? Like, how is this still chugging along?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm surprised.
I haven't had to touch it since the implant.
I've had my second battery replacement in January. Yeah, mine turned out very high, they said. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Do you have the new one that will go off if it recognizes your heart rate?
I assume I don't know if I feel it. You know,
Yeah.
I you said that you can feel it going off, but
I don't feel it. It's only if I'm like actively talking and kind of listening to my voice,
okay,
that I'll notice it, like if the pitch changes.
all right.
But yeah, it's been years since I've lost any feeling of like a tingle in my throat or anything.
So
I
since you
do
bring up
feel
the
stuff in my throat. Yeah, like my throat. I like right now, like I do feel my voice is different, but I don't actually feel. I don't know if the VNS is going off. That's the bottom line.
I was just looking up for Anne about the cervical fusion, and it looks like it can be performed, but it's important to consider the complications, especially regarding vocal cord function. So maybe anything to do with the vocal cords is kind of a signature of the VNS.
Yeah, yeah, that's part of it. Plus, my
Yeah,
vocal
that's
cords are compressed by the block
Right.
that's in the front of, like the front of my spine, the front of my vertebrae, had to be removed. And they had to put something to maintain that space. So it's a titanium block. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting conversation with my epileptologist and a very skilled neurosurgeon, because that's plus, let's not forget that I blew out the discs above and below that fusion, and I do still need surgery for that. So, which I doubt I'll get. So it's like, I'm seeing like this might be a little too complicated to fix. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to sound,
Well, at least one step at a time. Remember the team that you're going to have with you is going to
yeah,
have all of these neurosurgeons and everybody who would be responsible for that aspect of your care paying attention because they know they're like fucked if they don't.
oh
So
yeah,
since you have so many more advocates and representatives that are actually going to accompany you to this appointment, at least you can rest assured that, you have your list of questions and you're going to get a realistic answer because there's going to be other people in the room.
right. And when push comes to shove, I've come to shove.
Exactly.
And, it's just, I have to, because I mean, I recognize Saya's story, and that's where I am right now. That's why it's like, oh, I know right where I am. You know what
It's
I
just
mean?
so scary how that's getting so much more common to hear PNES if there's ever been a history, kind
It should
of pretty much
never,
lifelong history
yep,
of
never
any
ever.
neurological condition. They jump to PNES and try to exhaust all resources before they can't deny epileptic seizures anymore. And at that point, who knows how much damage is already done.
Right. And, and this is where things turned around for me, because I'm like, wait a minute. I've already been told that this is a clear-cut, valid case.
Hmm.
Um, it's undeniable. They put it all in my chart. So let's see if I can use it. And I don't want to lose it. So I had to calm my angry ass down. But yeah,
So VNS guys, how transparent are the doctors with you about your own data? Nate said something about you knew that you were at 20% battery.
yeah, when you go in, I mean, every appointment with my neurologist, they have a little like they call it a wand, and you hold it up to your device and they connect it to an iPad and it has all your settings on the iPad and current device stuff, including like battery range, essentially. So they can swipe on the iPad to increase, um, you know, whatever 4 milliamps to 5 milliamps every 5 minutes for 30 seconds or 35 seconds as an increase. For example, now it's going off. Um, Yeah, so that it just becomes a part of your neuro appointments where they connect to it and just check the settings. But um and I just wanted to quickly follow up, like I know I'm sure it's like overwhelming and lots of wheels must be turning for you with regards to like all the surgery that you might be up against, but I would just keep in mind with when it comes to the neck component of the VNS, it's just a thin lead, like a wire that goes from your chest up into your neck and wraps around the vagus nerve, like right
Right,
here.
right. Yeah,
So,
that
I mean, it would obviously entail conversations with the neurosurgery team. They would probably look at what you have, going on with your, structurally in your discs and your existing hardware in your neck and just how, you know, distance wise that would potentially complicate any surgeries down the
right,
line. But in
right.
terms of like here to here, like a thin wire, potentially they could shrug it off. But one thing
Yeah.
is,
Oops.
you can still get MRIs with it. You just have to go in to get it turned into MRI mode. Um,
Oh,
yeah, they essentially turn it off. You go get your MRI, you go back in, they turn it back on.
okay, good to know. But
Yeah.
it's still, the vagal nerve is fascinating. I got to pull a few of them out of, in gross anatomy. It is so cool because it's literally attached to the brain. And it's the only nerve that is not enclosed like in the spinal cord. So it's like a perfect opportunity to get to the brain. Always fascinated by VNS, but the practicality um, at that time for me it just wasn't something that really made sense for us. But now, now that I know more about it, the doctor that I had obviously didn't tell me enough. And I just kind of said, no, I wrote it off. I had to have emergency surgery on my neck, and then it's like, yeah, no, I'm not even going to think about putting anything else in there. Right. So, but now, yeah, yeah, they're using VNS for pain management, for a lot of different things, and I'm pretty impressed in how they're using that nerve. So thanks, I really appreciate it because, yeah, I have to rethink all of these things, and in order to do that, I really wanted to just see what other people were experiencing, like all of us. This really, really helps because that might be the thing, it was offered before. That might just be the one thing that gets me back.
Yeah, and if they were to say, hey, we want to wait a while until you have all your surgeries done and stuff like that, and you're uncomfortable with that, I would encourage you to ask about the DBS. Obviously, like I got the VNS and then waited a long time and was still having issues and got the DBS. So I kind of view it as like the VNS's big brother
Big
because
brother.
yeah, they drill down at the top of your head. I'm
Yep.
have my fingers on some burr hole caps on the top of my head
Those are your
right
baby
now
horns.
and
Admit it.
go into like the thalamus deep in the brain. So it's
Hmm.
it's not like has access to the brain. It's tapped in. Um
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, and it while it's not as cool and active as the RNS, if you have like, you know, proper foci that they can identify. Um, Similar efficacy rates after 2 years. And Medtronics, the manufacturer, is working on an algorithm to read brainwaves and react to them with
In a
the
DBS?
DBS.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
They're first working on doing that with their DBSs for Parkinson's.
That's
Um,
exactly where my brain went.
yeah,
No
which
kidding.
which obviously like they would have more data for and makes sense. And I'm kind of like, why don't you start doing that? That sounds amazing. But
Yeah.
it's a great tool as well and an option.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it now. Is it still available for me? And all of these, yeah, we're going to need a conference room in another 20 minutes for this appointment next week. Well, on the 10th. So it's like, yeah, I got a lot of questions, and let's start here. But this one, it's definitely, I was already rethinking it and going through all that stuff and the medications I may not have tried. And I'm like, maybe the VNS, because I don't want to play with these drugs, man. That messes me up more than anything. I think for me, drug changes were more traumatic than some of my seizures. So I don't want to do it again, but lots to think about. Yeah. Glad we're here.
I mean, just talking about how scientists are getting more curious about the brain's possibilities. There's something called electroconvulsive therapy now, and it's a psychiatric treatment, but they actually induce a seizure. And apparently it's being used for mental illnesses like, major depression, bipolar, and catatonia
Yeah, that
as a
goes,
last resort, when other
yeah,
treatments haven't worked.
excuse me, that goes back to the 30s.
Wow, I couldn't believe that.
And when I was in Maryland, my sister decided that, she did not believe in epilepsy, so she wanted me in the psych rehab. One of the first things they did when I was still pretty much unaware was ECT without consent. And yeah, that led to the seizure, on top of the fact they took all my seizure medications away and put me on antipsychotics. So they did ECT, abruptly stopped my anticonvulsants, and put me in a room. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think a VNS, I think I can handle that.
You need something with some regularity.
Yeah, right. Just like Saya. Yeah, we're getting there.
All right, so other topics then? Anybody else had any concerns about nutrition or stuff that you had to cut out that you wish you didn't have to? Any more thoughts on the sugar? We had a little bit of a sugar debate on one of these past meetings.
And I haven't been able to cut sugar entirely, but nobody's letting me have coffee anymore.
Yeah,
Even
the
though
thing you said about the espresso stuck with me.
The hospital said it doesn't do anything, but I guess they're living with me, so I have to deal with it, They have to deal with me having some,
We
I'll
need
respect them.
We need an epileptologist.
I have one, and he's great, but and he said that doesn't, like, they gave me coffee in the in-hospital EEG stay both times, and they said that caffeine didn't affect it, but I guess if I have too much, it definitely does. So, I'll respect them because they have to live with me.
Then again, if they're giving you caffeine when they kind of want you to have seizures.
Well, yeah. If I go back for another study,
too.
I'll make sure I drink a lot of caffeine. They don't usually have any trouble inducing seizures for me. It's really, really easy. I scare the hell out of them.
Right.
It sounds so bad when people say inducing seizures, like making it happen.
Yeah,
know,
and they're the
right.
ones that are that really, really hurt us too. And yeah, I won't do it, but I surprised them too. It's like, we didn't expect this to happen for a few more hours. Did you write down? Did you put anything that I said to you in your records? And this was between two seizures. This was after, I think I was in status for just about 10 minutes, but no big deal to me, right? And and they're telling me all about this, and I'm like, okay, you didn't expect it, but did I tell you how many hours it usually takes from my last dose that I missed? Okay, so let's say that it's been 16 hours, which means it's going to be 16 hours after that last dose. I was off by 30 minutes. They were off by 4 hours at the EMU. And I'm like, okay, but no, I won't do another one of those.
Yeah. They told me take your morning dose and then we hook everything up, we get you in your bed, and you probably won't have one until sometime at night. Oh, that's not what happened at all.
Right, exactly. It's like, no.
And having 4 epileptologists put in your bed and look like they're so terrified and they just want you to go away because you are scary is, I don't know, it was 14 grand miles in, I think, 2 days, maybe. It was a lot. And they were like, no. And I was like, you guys said it might be 7 days. You sure you don't need more information? No more.
Right? Yeah, that last one I had, they didn't even expect me to have the second one, but it turned out that the nurse didn't bolus the dose of Vimpat. She split it. Instead of giving it to me all at once, she gave me half of it. And I had another seizure. So it was like they already overdosed me with lorazepam. What are they going to do? And it's like, you should have listened to the patient.
Right. How many times can you come running into my room and shoot something into my vein?
Yeah,
I'm not a very big person.
Don't be mad at me. I gave you all the details you asked for. Yeah. So don't be mad at me. And don't shame me, and don't do this to me now. I'm interictal and I didn't know. Okay.
I know. I mean, I've been status before. I understand. That's when they want to stick a tube down your throat and breathe for you. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. That's why I won't do it again. Right. And it's like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I knew exactly when. And no, it's just not. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like they have to listen to patients. And how do you get doctors to do that today? There's.
My husband wouldn't be here if he wasn't a complete self-advocate for his own health. And that taught me everything I need to know. So yeah, agreed.
Yeah. And there's really no excuse, but yeah, we have to advocate even harder, and it's harder for us to do it. So that's why I call us the vulnerable community, because they think, oh, okay, we'll just try this, we'll try that, go away. No. I know there's other options. I know that I should have had other things presented to me years ago, and because they already were years and years ago. So, it's just, why can't we prevent the complications by just listening to the patient? And that's it.
I got something here. It says Keppra XR versus regular and sleep. It says, hi, folks. I'm a 27-year-old trans man who was diagnosed with nocturnal seizure disorder, not otherwise specified, in 2019. Seizure-free since 2021. I was taking 1,000 milligrams of Keppra XR at night daily for almost this entire span after switching from the regular release version. I've recently moved and I am in a country that does not offer XR, so I'm back to the regular formulation. I've noticed I'm waking up in a bad mood despite sleeping more and more soundly than on the previous formulation. I am suspicious this has to do with it being more of the drug at once and causing side effects. At the same time, I'm hesitant to take it 500 milligrams and 500 milligrams in the PM. 500 milligrams AM, 500 milligrams PM, which the doc says I can do because I'm scared I'll forget, and having the highest concentration in my blood when I'm sleeping and most likely to have a seizure is crucial. Any experiences with switching from XR to regular or vice versa? I never took the XR, but I heard about it and I want to try it. I just haven't had a doctor's appointment yet to ask about it. Anyone take XRs?
I never did
Never.
XR on the Keppra, but I did XR on the Carbatrol and didn't have any better luck because that was right around the time when I had to go back on Medicaid when the SSDI kicked in, and it was just as bad as any other. Carbatrol is the one that worked the best for the longest, and I think they did XR because I was having more at night, and it sounded like I was still having positive results, but it was the cost that I had to switch off of. But the extended release ones generally did work better, especially when I was having them more at night. But that's when I had a work schedule too. So maybe something with like getting less sleep, having the alarm set and things like that. It was a totally different lifestyle when I was able to hold down the job.
Okay. Anybody else took extended
I've
release?
done a number of XR meds. My epileptologist will try to go for them if the medication, itself doesn't have a long half-life. Just because I'm pretty sensitive to the medications, and he said that generally the XR versions you can get away with less of the medication um than if you're taking it twice a day, because I don't know, it just keeps the blood level a bit more even, um and therefore less likely to cause side effects. I don't know to what extent, but just if you're taking a little less of a dosage, then
Okay. I got something else here. It says they should let us drink during hospital visits. Hear me out. For EEG stays, we should be able to drink in the hospital. We get there so they can record seizures, right? Alcohol lowers pretty much everyone's seizure threshold. I would rather be drunk off my ass for 3-ish days than sleep deprived and without medication for 1 to 2 weeks. Any thoughts on that? I don't drink and I don't really enjoy it anymore. So, I mean,
Yeah, I don't drink anymore. Just go do an EMU study. Yeah.
yeah.
I think various places do allow that. I'm assuming after they've exhausted all the other stuff, like they'll order you beer or wine or vodka or something like that as like a prescription.
I'm curious about whether that would invalidate the results though, because I think
Yeah.
when they were doing all those EEGs for my RNS, they did blood tests to confirm the levels of medication that were in my system, and they didn't even do like a skip the meds to have the seizure until I think the second or third try, when I didn't have the seizures like they wanted or as many as they wanted. So I don't know about alcohol because they sometimes do blood work to make sure what's causing the seizure, and insurance might have a field day with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
right,
it's a
right.
depressant itself, so like drinking will, in theory, raise the seizure threshold. It's when it leaves your system and you're in withdrawal from it that I had a neurologist years ago tell me like, yeah, if you want to drink, just keep drinking.
Ah.
Um, and, um,
right?
I,
Right.
Yeah.
It's like an anticonvulsant effect. You don't
Yeah,
want to stop,
exactly.
you got to keep your level up. You know, like we say in the cannabis world, you got to stay lifted. You know, you find that place where you're doing okay and you stay there. You know, you have to maintain it just like an anticonvulsant. So, but yeah, I thought that was funny. It made me think I had a heyday with, and if anyone ever found out, but we don't care, with one of my ambulatory EEGs. He's a doctor that one of my favorites. I worked with him in coordinating some of the New York state laws for medical marijuana and accessibility. And he turned out to be one of the best neurologists I've ever had. But he said, okay, this is what I want you to do during these 3 days. And he handed me an envelope and I go to take this stuff. He said, no, I don't want you to read it here. Take that home. I get home. And this is like a handwritten note from a Russian doctor that I adore. And he's like, how much weed do you got? Do you need me to bring you any? This is what time I want you smoking it. This is how much I want you smoking, how I want you feeling. And then we're going to try your favorite bourbon. So I did all that on an ambulatory EEG. It was a freaking bender weekend for me. Okay. And I get this back and he's like, we got to do it again. Why? You didn't have a single glitch on your EEG. That spike wave isn't there. And I'm like, well, we know what that was, right? It was all that cannabis. So he said, but the alcohol, exactly right, Nate. It isn't when you're drinking it. It's when it's gone out of your system and your brain has to do that reset. And we can't do it quite as well as everyone else. So yeah, but man, being high during an ambulatory EEG, that was a gift. That was a blessing.
I was gonna say it sounds fun.
that's not what I heard from about how alcohol affects your system. It's how it purges the medicine from your system.
Oh yeah, there's that. There's that.
I also
liver-
don't drink because I had alcoholic parents. But I did want to jump back to the previous question. I didn't answer quick enough, but I was happy to hear it was from a trans epileptic. I don't know how many of you guys, how you're gonna feel about that, but I'm very much in the queer community, and I know we've talked a lot about memory issues since getting epilepsy, and so I've found that something I've had trouble with is having problems with people's pronouns that I haven't had a problem with in years suddenly crop up. And even at times, occasionally, almost having trouble with my own pronouns. I identify as non-binary and almost looked up on my own pronouns the other day. And so I just find that bizarre and upsetting. So I was just wondering if anyone else had anything to say about that, had any thoughts about that. Just something that has been on my mind. And I don't know where these questions come from, but it was nice to hear from a trans epileptic. Would like to talk to him if he's around, if I could find him. Just some thoughts.
You just
I would
gotta
be
find
curious
the.
if they're taking does trans mean they're always taking hormones? Because that would be a curious spot to wonder if that's not, helping or hurting.
Not all trans folks
Oh, okay.
are on hormones. Not all trans people have actually made the physical transition, but a
Yeah,
lot
that
have.
was my only question.
Yeah, so I'd be curious if he has.
I had trouble with that some at the ice cream shop. It wasn't too often, but I had trouble with a lot of other memory stuff there. So that wasn't something that really messed up too much. Just
I got a comment here. It says, some do. My last EMU stay, my epileptologist prescribed me beer. They actually brought it to me. I mean, it was just one, so it didn't do anything, but I was pretty happy since I didn't drink anymore. Nice. I don't drink beer. It tastes like water. Yeah. But yeah, I guess someone else says either that or allow us to use other triggering drugs. Muscle relaxing meds for me. Someone else said bust out the stimulants. Oh man. Someone else said when I stayed in the EMU, I had regular coffee and felt like I won bingo. I haven't been able to drink regular coffee in years, as caffeine can be a trigger. Champagne would have been perfect. Yeah.
they definitely did bring me coffee just to see, but that didn't seem to be the thing. But yeah, I do try to not have too much of that or sugar. I don't know about you guys.
I know I've been drinking soda like the entire day, but like we all know our, yeah, I know, but
I don't know.
we all know what we can handle. So I can handle a soda or two a day, and whatever. The worst thing it's gonna do is make me fat. I'm turning into a big old fat dude, so I'll deal with that guilt. So
I think you'll be fine.
that's my problem. So yeah.
Then you got to deal with the processed sugar and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
When your
I
liver
will.
starts going, that becomes a problem.
Well, it's that whole thing about you gotta live a little, right? Because suit up, we could all just pass away
Right.
anytime, right? I mean, I know you haven't had one in a long, long time, Kevin, so you don't really need to worry about that. But the rest of us, hey, a little Coke now and then, whatever.
Oh, we
You
all
gotta
love
be
a little
happy.
Coke now. We all
Yeah,
love we'd all
Coca-Cola
love a
now
little
and
Coke now and then.
then. Right, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
I
what I mean,
will.
soda.
But I
I
gotta
will say
settle for
for
the
me.
smoothie. So I'm also drinking a smoothie and water.
Oh, mate.
Ooh.
I, I, I just I eat a lot of stuff. So
Hey,
yeah.
that's good. I have a lot of trouble eating. We've all kind of talked about that. Pookie has a lot of trouble with his food,
Yep, I haven't ate today.
right? And I know
4 p.m.
a lot of us have trouble with our triggers. We don't
What?
realize that we should be eating.
I don't even feel hungry. It's
Good for
4
you,
p.m.
Kevin.
about to be
Eat.
5 p.m. and I haven't ate today.
Think I forced myself to eat cereal this morning just so I can get milk in me.
Okay, actually, there was some leftover taco meat from last night. I took a few spoons of it just to the mouth, but other than that, I haven't really ate anything. I just been surviving off air, thriving. Yeah.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
we're jealous. We're
I will
jealous,
say
Kevin.
during time periods, when I've been actively, I don't know to what extent it's been like diet, but when I'm trying to like cut down on weight, um, and going to the gym, um, combination, definitely eating healthy, combination of better mental clarity, better sleep, and perhaps fewer seizures. Um, it's really difficult to gauge over like a long period of time, and like pinpoint like, yeah, that those behaviors is why. Especially when you also do like medication changes and stuff like that. But um, yeah, I generally just try to eat healthy for those reasons. and work out. Just when I don't, I just feel miserable.
It's good to keep busy. You got to keep busy.
Forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm looking at the one of the headlines here saying that looking ahead, the future of epilepsy treatment holds promising innovations like gene therapies. They're calling it far ahead on the horizon, but that it could possibly offer a cure for genetic epilepsies and could be revolutionary when they arrive. So I guess there's some, obviously in Europe, definitely never first in America, but that's what they're working on for maybe a cure on genetic epilepsy first, it sounds like.
All right.
So we'll see what happens. And of course, a pharmaceutical company's running it, so who knows what their actual motivation is.
I hear everyone, like, so many people have these stories, and I feel like I just don't have that story. Like, everyone's like, I got hurt, I did this and that, I have all these triggers, I can't drink, this and that. But it's like those things, I've tried things and I haven't found a trigger. I have not. I've done things that I just was like, this, I shouldn't have done that. But I didn't have a seizure, and I've done it for months more, and then didn't have a seizure. So I was like, hey, why not keep going? And yeah, tragic. Didn't have seizures. Soda, caffeine, none of that stuff really gets to me. So like, I don't know if it's just because like mine is because the brain trauma encephalomalacia on the right side of my head, which is basically just soft brain tissue. But everyone else always has the worst stories than I do. Like, I don't have a bad story. My bad story was getting run over by a car, and that was it. I didn't feel the pain. I didn't go through the surgery. None of that. I just woke up and was like, oh, I'm in the hospital. My mom was like, yeah, you ran over by a car, been in a coma for this long. Yeah. So everyone else, you have the stories of getting it afterwards, after later in life and stuff. I don't have those stories. Like, yeah.
Well, it was an infant injury, so who knows really how many I had as a child, but if your caregiver won't admit it and won't take you to the doctor, then you just ignore it. And then I guess I lived through most of my adult life without it affecting me too much. And then, thank God, had my 5 kids without going grandma. So I should be really, really, really grateful that I
That's
made
incredible. So they were
this
never
far.
exposed to any
No,
medications.
none of them. And
Oh, that's
I
beautiful.
breastfed all of them at least 15 months, 17 months, 19 months, one of them. Yeah, I mean, I'm really, especially like the twins, like, oh my
Yes,
gosh, I
that's
would have been
beautiful.
just, the fact that they were just a little bit early was, but hurricanes don't really let you go into labor during a hurricane. They don't like you to do that. They go for the emergency C-section instead.
Like sleep deprivation, like I don't get that. I don't have seizures from that. I've stayed up till 5 and 6 a.m. playing video games and always thought, oh, you're gonna have a seizure. And I just don't. Alcohol doesn't bother me because I've been there.
Yeah, that's
And alcohol doesn't really get to me. That's what I said. I don't know my triggers. Everyone's like, yeah, this gets me and this, and this. I don't know if it's because the way that everyone else got it, but yeah, I don't know my triggers as of right now.
What about stress?
A
little?
I've been stressed out and it didn't really do much. Stress?
Never?
Stress all the time.
No? It doesn't lower your threshold at all?
It hasn't caused a seizure yet, so I wouldn't know. But it's tiring. Stress.
Right.
I'm tired of it. Then I just be like, I need to go somewhere. I don't need to be
But that's
sitting
why
there all day.
journaling your seizures might help, because I literally noticed I had 20 between September and November. And then, that number drops significantly between like January to February, and then it picks up again, when it gets hot here in March. And
Mhm.
that kind of helped me figure out why like dehydration was something to take seriously. And I couldn't deny like maybe stress does have something to do with it, because there was always some kind of trip or something with the family around the holidays.
Okay.
So that I put that link in the chat somewhere way back up. It's called My Seizure Diary. I just like having it online because I can get to it on the phone, and it comes up as a calendar, and it's literally like 2 buttons.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
easy.
trying to think like there's nothing I can do that I know of that's just gonna. I guess the Benadryl lowered my seizure threshold, but I think that kind of caused me to get epilepsy earlier than I could have if I didn't start taking it so early. But like I said, just everyone has like bad stories. Like I got it because I did this and this, and now I can't do this and that. I haven't figured out my don't do this and that yet.
Yeah.
All
My
right,
this
Nick.
my this and that's are, I mean, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. So we just try not to. What do you got? I mean, anybody else? Your thresholds,
I got
triggers.
plenty of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
from what I remember. My first seizure was woke up early after Christmas and playing video. I know it's the stereotypical photosensitive one, but I was playing a video game, a crappy video game, and just choppy graphics, and I was eating lots of candy and sugar, and yeah, but I am affected by visual stress, and I remember a seizure I had in high school. That was like the point where I stopped being smart is what I was in chemistry class and the crazy nun was talking and it was like 100 degrees in there and she wouldn't open the fucking window and like I couldn't focus and the words stopped making sense and that's how my auras are. It's like it's like a machine that's shutting down. I start sweating and yeah, and everything stops making sense, and so yeah, and yeah, of course, alcohol, and I drank a lot in my 20s and 30s, so I drank a lot, like on the weekends, but not during the day, and I knew what was going to happen. I knew I was going to have a seizure, but in the morning I would drink, so I would have a seizure in the morning and then drink. So
I'm sorry.
oh, that's fair. You all smoke too much pot, so
But at least you can remember that. That's the most frustrating thing for me, that I've just had to give up on trying to figure out where my seizures come from, because I lost touch with anybody that I was partying with back then. So they would never tell me if, I was the one just making the drinks, or if we were always doing shots, and like if I had that, problem of some kind of binge drinking thing when I was like 15 or 16, and that could have caused the seizures. And of course, like a lot of people speculate that different kinds of birth control can do it for women, but who's to say that didn't just act as a trigger, not necessarily the cause? And it's just frustrating because there's definitely no unbiased input.
oh no, it triggered it. I'm 100% sure on that. The alcohol was, I drank when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Like
Would you call it the cause though? Like you wouldn't have had epilepsy if you hadn't binged so
no, no,
many
it
times.
wasn't the cause. It wasn't the cause of the epilepsy,
Oh,
but
okay.
it definitely caused a few seizures. Like I only drank on the weekends, not like every day. I wasn't like waking up and going to school with a whiskey bottle in my backpack. It was just like Saturdays or Fridays. you know, but yeah, but it was just binging 1 or 2 days a week. So
Yeah,
yeah,
just not having the memory. It's annoying because I know nobody in in my life at this point is going to be unbiased about it. Like they would never admit that having me in martial arts for like 10 years, maybe I did get punched once or twice. Like nobody would ever say that, but apparently I was on some team that went to Japan and like did some AAU, I forget what they call it, like Junior Olympics or something. And I always thought, if we lived in the Appalachians for all those years and you're telling me I definitely had a dirt bike, come on. I definitely could have fell off that once or twice, and maybe that's what started it, but it just didn't present until like teens. But who knows? I'll deal with it now, and I can experiment more on myself and figure out triggers once I'm done breastfeeding, because I'm definitely done with kids.
Kids? I love kids.
Okay, but having them and raising them is a little different.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You got it.
Yeah,
Being
tube side,
pregnant
and I'm happy about that.
and breastfeeding, yes.
Within
Although
9 months
I
trying to have
love
a
my
seizure.
daughter.
With 9 months trying to go 9 months without a seizure, it's rough.
Oh, please.
no
My
way.
children were, I did not have a pregnancy that was less than like 11 months. They were so quick to schedule right when I got to that 10-month mark. And of course, in where were we? Silver Springs, they didn't have an opening. They didn't schedule the surgery for like a month. They waited until I got to 10 months pregnant, said, okay, that there's like no more room. So you have to have the baby. And they didn't schedule the surgery for a month for my daughter. Yeah. And my son down here, it was even easier to get into just some local hospital. And they're like, well, we don't have any specialty, specialists here. So hopefully you don't have any seizures because then we'll have to take you across to Tampa. And I was like, wow, we said a lot of
That's where my
prayers.
twins was
Yeah.
Tampa General during a hurricane, which by the way, Tampa General is not hurricane proof.
Okay,
Nope.
I
Right
have
on
a
the Gulf
question,
Coast.
and this
And
is just like me theory thinking.
Go ahead, think out loud.
Um, when my wife was pregnant with our daughter, she had a very rough pregnancy. And I'm wondering if it's like, could have been, my seizure medicines that might have passed on, or,
I'm gonna look.
I don't know. I've heard people like say some crazy stuff like, "Oh, you smoke weed, we can't have sex during the pregnancy." It wasn't my situation, but I've heard that, and I was like, "Does it really bother the child?" I've heard someone say that. And I was just like, "You tripping?" I don't even
I'm
think that's.
sorry, I don't think so.
Yeah, I was like, "Bro, that's
Yeah,
your
no.
situation."
No, that's an ultra conservative biased viewpoint. Um, just kind of type in there, search up endocannabinoid system.
Yeah.
Yeah, search it up. Yeah, we're seeing, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm seeing the renewal of Reefer Madness lately. And it's kind of cracking me up because it didn't work that time. And we are one hell of a powerful community. Ain't gonna work, bro. Ain't gonna work. So,
I got something here. It says endocannabinoids are naturally occurring lipid-based neurotransmitters that help with various bodily functions. They are produced by the body as necessary, which makes it difficult to know what typical levels are. The endocannabinoid systems is a group of messengers and binding sites located throughout the body that helps regulate the appetite, memory, and immune system. It also controls your sleep cycle and helps you manage stress. Messengers in the ECS are called cannabinoids.
yes, the cannabis receptors. We have several different kinds that receive several different cannabinoids. And when you put or CBD on top of THC, you're not stoned anymore. So if ever you get too high and you're worried, just take a nice dose of CBD. Chew on a peppercorn. you're good. And that advice comes from Neil Young himself, who, by the way, does have epilepsy.
Yeah, I've never been too high. I don't think that
No, yeah,
in my book.
dabs.
Haven't made it there yet. Too high?
Yes, I did it on dabs, man. That was just not a pretty thing.
Okay, yeah, never mind. I have. I took like 6 edibles, and I was just I was telling everybody like, really good, man. I was like, y'all take edibles and y'all talking about you overdose and all that. Get out of here. I took 6 and I was like, I just need to lay down. I was like, this does not feel nice. It doesn't hurt or anything, but I was just like, something about this
All right, just
does not feel right. And yeah. I just
yeah.
had to lay down and be in that floating feeling for a couple hours. My girlfriend kept
Okay,
checking on
good
me.
to know. So if I do go the cannabis route after he's done with mommy's milk, what should I avoid again? You said it was something called dabs?
Oh, yeah, no, smoking
Well,
dabs, yeah,
Look for
dabbing.
those.
or edibles, you know, you can go too far with the edibles.
Well,
The first time it ever happened to me was my stepmother like poured like a whole ounce into one pan of brownies, and while my father was dying of cancer, so we were like nighttime watching him in the house, and one of my brothers,
$300 batch of brownies.
I know, right? My brother's friend had one, and because he used to stay with us every night, he was such a good kid, and the kid was like, "I'm never eating anything else that you guys offer me again, ever." I felt so bad.
Oh
I've
my
been
gosh,
told that I'm
no.
the best at making butter, so I've been doing that for a while too.
Oh, hey, I just
Man,
did, yeah, I gave
make
my,
some butter and put it on a cake, and everybody in the house go to sleep.
yeah, right. Oh, my favorite is the Rice Krispies, man. Fruity Pebbles. You make
Oh
Rice
man, I
Krispie
like the
treats.
Rice Krispies because they turn green, and for some reason I don't know why that
I
is.
Fruity
know.
Pebbles were
I love it.
great.
Yep, I love it.
The
There
whole
was the place I
Rice
used to
Krispie is
order
green.
from Colorado, but they shut it down.
Yeah.
Oh, what was in Colorado, Angel, that they shut down?
Edibles.
Oh, well, I gotta say, cannabis is a tricky subject because it is still federally illegal. And even though the states have what's called reciprocity, we've got this administration that doesn't respect that. And even some of my very good friends with they're called tier 4 grows. They literally have 4 levels, like ground floor, second floor, third, fourth, right? In like an open environment, like a warehouse. Could you imagine having, like, I think she had like 20 some thousand plants, and they got raided, and they are a legal, certified licensed grower in California. They were. And this is the second time she got raided since legalization. And the first time was during the first round of this administration. So, just saying, if you're ever interested in growing your own, now's the time.
Perfect
But
Are they
timing.
still being really strict on how much THC, or it's got to be like less than 0.3% or something? It,
oh,
it it
that's
just
for
sounded to me like it had to be weak.
yeah, that's for CBD.
Oh, okay.
CBD products cannot, on a federal level, can't be over, I believe it's 0.03%.
Oh, so that's what the Texas thing was saying. That's what it was. That's where I got that from.
Right, but they actually outlawed CBD as well. CBD is banned there now too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's I'm wondering what they're going to do at the post offices and UPS, DH, any delivery, because we did this in the beginning for people who needed cannabis. We'll do it again. They don't even know. Uncle Sam doesn't even know that they're taking illegal products into a state where
Mm-hmm.
people need medicine. It didn't stop us before, but it's really sad that, this was just one of those, Oh, we'll get
History
them.
repeats itself.
Yeah, yeah. And this shouldn't even be a topic. And, weed has been a political tool for generations now. And, I'm at the point in my life where it's like I'm just tired of seeing the same stuff in politics that is used as a weapon. And when you take something that is a viable medicine that helps people like us, you're playing with our lives, man. And yeah, so we got to say something. But yeah, that thing with Texas, ooh, yeah. But this is just one of those things that we're starting to see that, cannabis might be under the gun again, but that never stopped us before. But Kate, did you know, and Pookie, well, you can even look it up, that the highest level of endocannabinoids in the human body occurs in breast milk.
Really?
And
And
there
you're
were
talking about
several,
like the naturally produced
yep,
kind.
your
Okay.
natural endocannabinoids. And there were times back in the 60s and the 70s during reefer madness that if a baby tested positive for whatever they said it was that was associated with cannabis, which it turned out to be a debunked clinical. It didn't have the association, but they were saying, these women, us hippies, were being, taken into the hospital. We go to our regular exam and we get our blood tests. We don't know that we're being tested for cannabinoids. You take your baby in, what is the first one, like 3 months? Well, there's 6 weeks, 3 months, those first pediatric visits, they're taking your baby's blood. And if they see a trace of these things, then the moms were getting arrested. And it's like, wait a minute, this stuff is naturally occurring in our bodies. And it turned out to be a lot of breastfeeding mothers. And I found that out when I had my kids, when I joined this thing called La Leche League, because
So were they actually wrongfully detained?
yes, they were.
Oh,
And
wow.
their children were taken away, CPS, the whole story. And until they discovered, it's like, wait a minute, we've always known that we've had, well, not always, but we do know, and we have clinical evidence that the body has its own endocannabinoid system.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do further testing. And they discovered that the highest level in our human body at any time is in breast milk. And it's not going to be any higher if the lactating mother is a cannabis user, because your body will regulate what's going out into that breast milk. Once your body's in homeostasis, it's like, okay, we have all the cannabinoids we need. That goes out through your kidneys, not through your breast milk.
Right.
What?
And that's probably why he wants it going to sleep so much.
Yeah,
He always
yeah.
pass out. He
And
always pass out.
yeah, hippie mom secret.
Is weed legal where everyone is at?
Nah, I don't think I need weed. I was just listening to all that. That got me pretty high, all that.
He just
Whatever.
said that got you high.
I got you high just talking about weed.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, that's cool.
That was that was something.
Well, all that goofiness before was after I ended up searching, it's being really vague about, let's saying yes, THC that is or can be detected in semen, and there's little research, quote unquote, that it would actually, the amount that actually passes would ever affect the fetus. But go figure, the more recent articles being released are saying that it does affect, like any THC user could actually have something about like methylation. I guess it's just like how DNA is in the semen, and they're trying to make it sound like it's bad.
Are they kidding? Are you kidding me?
I'm
You see what
telling you,
I mean?
it's only the articles that have been published in like the last 4 years.
Yeah. And you
The
have to
ones
consider
from,
the
yeah.
source. Yeah. And it's reefer madness revival, and it's no, no. you know, they need to either get scientific proof to convince me of that, because anecdotal evidence doesn't work for that. That is, as far as I understand, and with, I will definitely ask, it does not transfer into reproductive body fluids, which include breast milk.
Right, I laughed when I heard that.
And even if it did, the female body would filter it out.
Yeah. And guess what, folks? Even if the baby gets it, it's not going to hurt the baby. The
There you
baby's
go.
just going to go to sleep. And that's what they need anyway. So when cannabis was used without any consideration as a natural product, that was one of the things women had postpartum.
Yeah.
They would give women cannabis to help with lactation, to help the body rest, all of that, never even thinking about it. And it's like, so what if it makes the baby go to sleep? That's what you want for 3 months, you know?
Shit, that's what you want for 3 years.
Actually, do it again when they're tweens until they're 19. Okay. We'll just let them out of that stupor for about 6 years.
Right? Ride a bike and then play video games. You're good. Now go to school.
Yeah.
Is weed legal in Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Both medical and rec. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Normal. Go to NORM. Wait, normal. NORML. The National Organization of Marijuana Legalization. And they will show you they will give you all of those answers. What state is it legal? Is it legal for medical and recreational, which is also known as adult use, depending on the state you're in. Yeah. Good old normal and leafly. That's another good one. But that's if you want more details about the weed itself.
I didn't know
All right. Yeah, this
reefer
normal
came.
site looks pretty easy to navigate, but now we'll look into this when I decide where we're going to live this summer.
Yeah.
Definitely leaving Florida, but
Yeah.
not sure how far back up north we want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved Maryland. I'm not kidding. I absolutely loved it. Southern Maryland was a little more humid. I spent less than a year there, but going up towards Baltimore, absolutely beautiful spring. So I would say, coming from New York, I wouldn't go any far north than Maryland. And and like Virginia if you want to live in the hills.
Yeah, we were looking at Southern Virginia, but I'm still just kind of focusing on cost of living, and that's why we're going to go with the rental. We'll rent for a couple years, or hopefully no more than a year, narrow down exactly where we want to be, and then make the purchase.
Yeah.
Because eventually, homesteading is the goal.
Oh, awesome. That's a breath of fresh air just to hear that, because I know you'll be safe,
Real estate's just so unpredictable. It's like shit right now.
Right. And we're gonna see some hyperinflation. You're gonna want to be able to grow your own food, all
Oh
of that.
yeah, timing
Yeah.
is everything.
Yeah,
When it
you
comes
can
to
grow weed
property
out
anyway.
here. You can have up to 3 plants, I believe. You can have up to 3 ounces, I think, on you.
In New York, yeah, we can have. I
I was
can
talking about
ask.
California.
Oh yeah, I think isn't California 6 plants? Oh wait, California is the funky, or is that Washington? Because you can actually have what's called a perpetual grow,
Mm-hmm.
because you can only have so many mature flowering plants.
Right, so
So
it's a season.
right, so if you plan your indoor grow properly, you're trimming back your plants to train them. You're taking those clones. The mother plant is starting to go into flower. Those clones are growing up into vegetation stage, and you just keep turning it over. You take the clones from the second generation and you just keep doing that. And I know there's a state that did that.
Well, in Maryland now, it looks like you can have 2 plants.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
there's
that
talk
Reefer
about
Madness came out in
Pennsylvania going
1936.
legal.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going on that long either.
I didn't know Reefer Madness
New
even came out in
Jersey
the
is
30s. I
legal.
thought Reefer Madness came out at least the 70s. This is old.
No, that
Right.
came out in the 30s. Yeah, 30s, 40s.
36.
With Anslinger, and the Prohibition was in 1934. And yeah. So
Public Enemy #1.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's Anslinger enemy #1 and pharmaceutical industry #1 now. So yeah, we've got some competition, or they do. We don't. Right,
The
Jeff?
Virginia page on normal is a lot longer. So I'm thinking they just have a lot more restrictions in Virginia.
Oh, are they? You're on normal? Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't
I'm on
looked at
normal
the.
now, and I'm just looking at like the paraphernalia, hash and concentrates, tracking, manufacturing. So they get really specific about weights, and it looks like it's still, not, you obviously have to have like a lot more for intent to distribute, but
Yeah, they're pretty generous in Virginia. In fact, I think it was Virginia.
4 plants. Yep, it's 4 plants for no penalty.
Yeah, yeah. I think Virginia is one of the states that passed on legislation. They didn't even have to vote on it because they were like, whoa, look at the money these other states are making. And that's when I think it was Virginia that jumped in and passed by legislation and not vote. So it was like an executive order of the Virginia State Senate.
Before we go back to epilepsy, I had to read this real quick. It says Reefer Madness, a 1936 movie, was produced to scare parents about the dangers of marijuana. It has become a cult classic for its over-the-top depiction of marijuana, causing violent psychotic outbursts.
Mm-hmm.
The firm reinforced the idea that cannabis use led to madness, violence, and moral decay, despite the lack of scientific evidence. This propaganda helped justify harsh legal restrictions and fuel decades of prohibition and criminalization, often targeting marginalized communities.
Yeah, all while they were selling methamphetamines over the counter.
Yeah,
You
that was
could
going to be
literally
my other
buy
question.
crack.
What wasn't regulated back then?
Did anybody see that movie?
Oh yeah, several times. But I'm 64, so
I didn't
yeah.
see it.
Yeah, Jeff, you've seen it, right?
I
Yeah,
got
I've
it right
seen
now
it.
on my tabs. I'm gonna watch
My
it.
friends and I used to get high watching that.
No
There you
doubt.
go.
That and Monty Python all the time. All the time. But no,
This is finally a subject I know something about.
Yeah, right. I know. I remember when my parents, my stepmother, literally dragged me by the ear to the church without telling me what was going on. It's like, we're going to church. And I'm like, what the hell? And they had all these kids in the church and they put this movie up and it scared the shit out of us. And those of us who had older siblings that I've been around weed since I was 5. We were like, this is the biggest joke. So, you take like a 10-year-old to see this movie Reefer Madness. The ones that don't know are scared. The ones that know are scared and go home laughing. And, so I lived my life laughing at Reefer Madness simply because the whole reason it was done was a political, social manipulation. And they're still doing it. Still doing it.
Of course.
Yep.
So basically,
Especially
the
in the
only
states where
ones who
it's not
gave
legal.
in were the ones that didn't know.
Yeah, the ones that were convinced or easily manipulated, which, they have a tendency to stick around. And, they call us the sheep. But, I'm going to say it. I am a Democrat. And as a Democrat, I take that decision very seriously. I don't care what party you voted for or belong to. My purpose as a Democrat is for the people. You hurt my brother, you hurt me. I'll stand up for you, regardless of your religion or political association. But that's pretty much to me the oath of a Democrat, that we are for the people, which is what demo means. You know, it's all about the people. And if we could all start thinking like that and put those political parties down and all that bias, but no, we got to have a Reefer Madness revival. I'm sorry, guys.
All right, let's see what Netflix does about that in the next couple months.
I'm sure you scared the politicians to their bone. They're watching this right now and they're terrified.
Yeah, we'll see. But it
Poor
looks like
baby.
cost of living, it wouldn't be impossible in Virginia, so maybe if you can have 4 plants there.
Yeah, that's only if they find them. It's the ones you put where they can't find them.
Well, I see
the
they have to be labeled. You know, they have to have a legible tag. And, you know, obviously inaccessible to anyone under 21. Plants visible from a public way, that's a fine.
I should send you
So,
pictures of those tags.
yeah, they do
Mine,
have a lot of rules, it looks
one
like.
that says mine, another that says I don't remember planting this. There's your tag, Virginia. Okay, those are our Virginia
Beautiful.
tags. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm not even worried. Because I was using this before it was legal, and Jeff knows we don't give a flying fuck.
Right.
Okay, you don't want me in your prison. Trust me. Especially now that I have epilepsy.
Right. That's
Right?
a whole nother job.
Yeah.
CEO and a medic.
Yep. And the overtime they would have to pay an officer to accompany you every time there's an inpatient stay. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
they would get me back to my weed as fast as possible.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And
Especially
more
because
money
I'd be like,
they
I need a
have to
24
give
hour
up.
care. How does that work when you need 24-hour care and you're in prison? Not that anyone here would know, because I don't know if you guys have been to prison, but I was just thinking about that because disabilities in prison, I've never heard
I
of
don't know
this.
about prisons, but my mother worked at the jail for pretty much my whole life, and I know she definitely got plenty of overtime in the hospital. So somebody who had to have inpatient care, I mean, when you say 24/7, are you talking about like the psychiatric type, like who actually have to live in an institution and they're in custody?
No, because my in-home care, they said I need 24-hour care. So, yeah, my sister's getting paid for 24-hour care, but like for who's going to do it when there's in prison?
Yeah, I think that was a different what they call it, like block or something.
Yeah, they have
Just a
separate.
different part of it of the jail.
Yeah, they call it the hospital ward, and it's
Yeah.
divided up just like a hospital based on level of care. You know, it's same thing, but you're not. Yeah, you're definitely not at Johns Hopkins. Okay, but yeah, that's how they do
Similar
that.
to a psych ward.
Yeah. Oh, psych wards are so much fun, man.
Right.
Yeah, I have a bad attitude with those because I'm not psycho. I am fully cognitive. Go ahead, fuck with me. You know, that's me. It's like I had a seizure, that was it. And you want to call me crazy for that? That's your mistake.
I got something here. It says, since my employers found out that I am an epileptic, they have been trying hard to either fire me or to make me quit. What can I do about this? Anyone with epilepsy ever been in a situation similar to this one? Does anyone have any good or clever ideas how to deal with this shitty situation? What can I do about this? Or what should I do?
Nothing. There's
Yeah,
nothing you can
yeah, I have
do.
epilepsy, so I mean,
They'll
I
find
guess
another reason. Yep.
I've always left the job. I don't think I've
Yeah.
been fired yet. I've always left the job because of epilepsy. I haven't been fired to date. Great worker. I want to go back to work. If I don't get Social Security by the end of this year, I'm going back to work next year.
Yeah. No, I
I
got
was
fired
working.
from a job that I had a focal a couple of times. And the people that I talked to on the phone were scientists and neurologists. And this one doctor that I was talking to like at least twice a month, you know, he's like, I'm keeping track of this. And he started calling me like twice a week. And he let my employer know that he thought I was having seizures. And apparently I had one and I recovered. It was one of those times I just thought I wasn't feeling good. Went to the ladies' room, did the cold water splash, everything. Get back to my desk and I passed out. Take me out by ambulance. I get a letter in my mailbox stating that I was fired due to illegal drug use because I was taking OxyContin at the time. And I tried to fight that because I had a prescription for it. And I didn't even win on that. And then I'm like, okay, so what do we do here? Because you fired me illegally. I can take this to, you know me. Well, okay, fine. Well, and it took them 2 days to find some ambiguous reason to fire me. Everybody, there's so many people that have that story on disabilities. It's like, no, they will find a reason. And that's what we mean by that. You know?
Oh,
Yeah.
unless you can find a reason to prove that they fired you for your disability, then yeah, I mean, yeah, right, outright.
Yeah, but right now, I mean,
Yeah.
as of today, is that going to even matter in our current administration? You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
that's the
like
tough part. Yeah, employers find ways around that. Yeah, that is the tough part.
Yeah,
they
they
know what
do.
they can get away with.
They couldn't fire me for the seizure. They almost fired me for the OxyContin. But then they fired me for, I guess I must have had an underproductive day, maybe by 2 points. You know what I mean? One of those days.
Right. They'll
Yeah.
say it wasn't for epilepsy. They'll say it was for
Something else entirely.
Loss of productivity.
underperformance. Yeah.
Yep, underperformance.
Okay, well, it looks like in that little tri-state area, Tennessee is still nothing. There's already a $250 fine for possession of less than half an ounce.
Less than half an ounce. Yep.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's okay. We got rum carrying in
But
Tennessee.
that's the only place with no property tax.
Oh, yeah,
That's a
but that's the
bitch.
place with lots of tornadoes. That's why.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
in far east Tennessee, like Smoky Mountains area, that's kind of where we narrowed it down to. But if we get 5 acres, why should I give a fuck? Nobody's gonna know.
Right.
Yeah.
You can grow out of control.
You know?
You might be able to apply for a small grower's license, a small agriculture license, but
That's
not
what
in
I'm saying. They're
Tennessee.
all zoned as, unrestricted or agricultural anyway.
Yeah, in Tennessee and I believe Kentucky legalized last year.
Okay, yeah, Kentucky is where I was gonna look at next, but again, like just known for tornadoes and there's
Mhm.
natural disasters everywhere now, so
Right. But yeah, Tennessee, there's tornadoes on one side and floods on the other.
yeah, west and
Yeah.
east is the floods, but it's still far enough away from the ocean that and that there are, those Appalachians in the way that would kind of dull a hurricane.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's where you want to be. Or they jump, yeah. The tornadoes jump the hills, the hurricanes stop. But yeah, that was the only disadvantage of Maryland. I would not want to be there during a hurricane. Um, but it was really nice. It was beautiful. Pennsylvania, like southern Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has some awesome cannabis laws.
Hey Jeff,
Yes.
What's your favorite strain or strand?
Granddaddy Purple.
Oh man, I was finna say something similar to
What's yours?
that. Just purple.
Yeah, me too. Anything purple.
And indica. Anything purple indica.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indica. Yes.
I love the OGs. I love, the
Oh yeah.
original. And if you're
Yeah.
lucky to find somebody that has uncut, like total uncut OG Kush,
Oh yeah.
I am,
Yeah.
we call it OG couch because that's what you become, the couch. You're not stuck in the couch, you become the couch. So, yeah, but that's a heavy. I like hybrids. And when you get a good hybrid, you want to keep it by the seeds. And I think so far my favorite hybrid is still Blue Dream. I love Girl Scout cookies, but Blue Dream, it doesn't make me drowsy. I don't feel high. I feel perfectly medicated with Blue Dream. So,
I
you
like
know,
Blue Dream for during the day.
for when?
So once you guys find a strain that you like, if you wanted to go to cultivation, would the dispensary ever, like wherever you get the weed from, would they ever lead you to where to get the seeds?
No, but I will.
Right.
Oh,
I was gonna
okay, that
say
works.
no.
Yeah.
I don't think they want you to know where they're getting it from. They want to be the dispenser. They don't
Yeah,
want
no,
you
I
to
think,
go have
yeah,
it and not come back.
we can get
Damn,
seeds on the res.
Pennsylvania's bad too.
Oh,
30
are they?
grams or less is $500 in Pennsylvania, and that's just possession. That's up to 30 days incarceration.
We're back to the 60s. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, it says
That's
30
true.
grams or less.
30 grams or less
So
of
an
possession.
ounce.
They're
We're
trying
not
to
even
change it.
talking, yeah, that's just possession, and it's a misdemeanor for 30 days and $500.
So if
But
you have
that's
more, it's
for
not a problem.
recreational.
More than
That's not
30.
medical.
But
I'm on the
yeah,
normal website, so yeah, these are
Yeah.
just the criminal penalties for recreational.
recreation. Yeah, but they do
Yeah.
have Pennsylvania does have pretty generous medical marijuana laws. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, now
I've
I see
been
the
to
medical
some of the
marijuana tab.
dispensaries.
Yeah. And I don't even know, I don't have my card and I could get it, but I don't care because it's legal recreationally. And
I
the
just felt
only
like it was a rip off because of how much it costs in Florida. The exam just for that, it was like $300 or something.
stop. Oh my God. No
Wow.
way.
Or no, it
I
was
can
300 for the renewal. For the initial purchase, ex-husband like got half his finger cut off on a job, and he got his what's it called, clearance or whatever that way. And I think the initial one was $500, and then the renewals have been like 300 every year.
damn.
That's horrible.
I haven't been paying attention. Damn, that's not right. I can get mine for $50 without a doctor visit.
I was gonna say that you can go and just say I want to get weed. Well, out here you don't have to have a card. You just show up
Mm-mm.
with
Right.
cash. Like you can't use your card. You show up with cash.
Damn.
Yeah, you gotta use cash, but
Yeah.
otherwise there's no going to get a card anymore. And back then when it was getting a card, it was like $50. Like Ann said, it was easy. Just be like, I want to get a card, and there was no doctor visit or let's check this and check that. No, it was just come get
Yeah.
this, pay us.
Damn,
And
so even for medical though, some states still, like Pennsylvania still has no for home cultivation.
So,
So I would
sorry.
have to be stuck going to the dispensary and, having that third party again.
A
Unless you want
weird
to
thing
brave
about
up,
Pennsylvania is we have something called the liquor board, and that controls all. A lot of people blame the liquor board. That's why they're saying we're not legalizing marijuana because the liquor board would have control over legal marijuana. So you would have to, like, a legal dispensary would be like going into what we have liquor stores, state liquor stores. It would be state controlled marijuana stores. It's
Okay.
hard to describe because
Sounds like an
we,
extra tax.
well, like it's bizarre because like you wouldn't get your specialized, you know, interaction or care. It would just be like you know, someone the state hired to, you know, hand out weed. It wouldn't be very good weed. I don't know how to give you a proper analogy because this anyone else is anyone else familiar with the process of liquor board?
No.
No,
Because
but it sounds comparable to how houses are constructed, like basically how many inspections you have to get and what quality materials. Different places vary greatly on that. So maybe, a home construction analogy might work in this case,
Pennsylvania is the only
like
state
more
that does
paperwork.
this, I think.
Wow.
We're the only state that sells liquor in this way. So it's weird. We're the only one that controls liquor and stuff like this.
So that's supposed
It's
to
very
encourage dry counties, like dry places.
no, we don't have. We might have dry counties. We have a lot of counties. So, but it would, yeah, that a lot of people are just blaming it this way, but I don't think it is. I just think we have a lot of dickhead governors or dickhead politicians. So that's what I think the reason is.
Oh, it looks like I'm coming back to Virginia now
Mhm.
because they've allowed for up to 4 plants as long as you're 21 or older, and they allow for caregivers and everything else too. So I did not think Virginia was that liberal, but Tennessee is definitely not.
They're not. Yeah, they still haven't in all this battle, and it still is a state where people are moving out so that they can feel safer with their cannabis. You know, and then there's the rebels that we didn't. Oh, how many plants? Oh, gee, man, I can't grow 6 plants. I can't even do one. I got a tent full of house plants that's dying. I can't.
And Kentucky's the worst. They don't even have a medical marijuana tab.
No, nope,
Kentucky laws and penalties. There's no medical marijuana tab on here.
nope.